Hello. Hello, 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 and welcome. It is lovely to see you here. So welcome to this live masterclass. We are very excited to be joined by Andrew Shotland from Local SEO Guide, and he's here to teach us everything we need to know about multi-location marketing. So just a reminder that this session is recorded, and you'll get the recording straight to your inbox, and you can also find it on our YouTube channel. And if you want to continue the conversation once the webinar is finished, you can join our rather amazing Facebook community group called the Local Pack, where you can chat with over 4,000 other local marketers. But before we introduce Andrew and crack on, I would like to deliver a message from our sponsor, BrightLocal. If for anyone new to a BrightLocal webinar, we wanted to share that BrightLocal is an amazing tool to help you win at local SEO. Our tools and the Content Hub are great to use to help you rank higher, convert better, grow your reputation, and to build citations. And there is a free 14-day trial if you haven't already checked out to see how BrightLocal can help you improve your local SEO. So make sure you sign up for that. So let's say hello to Andrew.
Hello.
There he is. Hello, how are you?
Hi. I'm going to look over here because you're over here, even though my camera's over here. So hello.
Okay. Hi.
I'm not being rude.
It's all right. In all the directions. That's fine.
Yeah.
Andrew, the man that needs no introduction, but would you give yourself an introduction, please?
Sure. I'm a Capricorn and I like Chinese food. Hi, I'm Andrew Shotland. I am the CEO, founder of an SEO agency. We're still called Local SEO Guide, but we kind of rebranded as LSG SEO last year because no one can ever remember our name. And we actually don't just do local SEO. We do all sorts of SEO, but we do a lot of local SEO, particularly multi-location SEO. And occasionally folks like BrightLocal are nice enough to invite us to spew our ridiculous stuff here. So I'm very excited to spew our stuff for you guys today.
We love your spew. What can I say? LSG SEO, have to get used to that. I love the logo. Looks wonderful. Lovely branding. Lovely branding. So let's have a little quick look at the agenda for today's session. So first of all, we have got our live masterclass presentation from Andrew, who's going to run you through his slides. And if you've got any questions about the actual presentation, then please send them in during the presentation, because hopefully we can just cover those questions directly after the presentation. Ask them in the chat and then I'll be able to pose them to Andrew. And then after that, we're going to have a quick couple of questions, asking Andrew some questions about his experiences doing multi-location marketing for large brands. And then this is your chance to pose your burning questions, general questions about the topic for Andrew. So we'll be able to run through the Q&A after we've done all of those things. So don't forget, write your questions in and we'll be able to bring them up afterwards. How does that sound?
Works for me. And I have plenty of time today. I'm procrastinating on doing work for clients.
Okay.
So
no, don't do that. Yeah,
happy to stick around as long as possible.
Don't do work for clients. Just share your insight and knowledge with us. That would be lovely. Thank you very much. So let's go for the presentation. If we can get that up.
All right.
And take it away, Andrew. Thank you very much.
All right. So this is our new look. In case you've seen our old look, it's very funky. We like it.
Love it.
So we're going to talk today about how to do local SEO at scale. As mentioned, we do a lot of multi-location work. Some very big, thousands of locations, some very small, like 2 locations. But they all have a very kind of a common approach. At least we have a common approach to how we do it. So I wanted to share the latest on how we're approaching these engagements. Sometimes they're pretty straightforward. Sometimes they're incredibly tricky. Anyhow, but before we get into that, a little promotion. We, for those of you who are familiar with SEO weather reports, BrightLocal has one. I forgot what it's called. Like, I don't even know what it's called. BrightLocal weather report or something. Mozcast, that kind of thing. We decided to build one of our own that uses a lot more keywords than anyone else. And it's focused on local categories. So it's called SERP Summary, very, very fancy name. And we're releasing it sometime in the next few weeks once we figure a few things out. But it's got 20 million keywords in the US, and we're using it to track what happens in local SERPs. And here's like one, the top 10 domains across 20 million US keywords is one of the top 10 domains is Forbes.com, which is kind of mind blowing because why is Forbes.com ranking for best plumbers in Denver? Well, it does. And so anyhow, if you're interested in it, go to that link. You'll get the deck afterwards, I think, and you can sign up to be notified when it launches. We think it's kind of fun. And we're using data by Traject. They're our data partner we use for all of our rank tracking and SERP scraping and stuff. And yeah, okay, on to the next stuff. So how many people see this showing up in the search results and it just drives them crazy? This near me showing up in the titles. Well, this was a tactic we started using, I think, in 2015 or so, and it really worked well. And we wanted to see, does this ridiculous strategy still work for local search? And so to figure that out, we had to do a little study. Now you can see that we all have seen the incredible rise in near me queries, mostly because Google, Apple, anyone with a search engine is forcing you into these results because they always show up as the first suggestion whenever the search engine thinks that you're doing a local search, like pizza, it'll say pizza near me, that kind of thing. So it may not be that people are even searching that way. It's just the search engines are forcing them, and that's creating a lot more results, a lot more searches. So there's a big opportunity if you can figure out how to target these queries. Like I said, in 2015, I actually got the idea to do this because I happened to stumble upon this amazing page from TripAdvisor, which was the first site I ever saw really doing this near me thing. And they had a restaurants near me page that said food and restaurants near you. And they had all these internal links, Greek food near me, Chinese food near me, blah, blah, blah. And they were ranking for all this stuff. So I wanted to do that. We just started doing this on a lot of local search sites we were working on, and it worked amazing. So we wanted to see if it's working today. We did a little research project. Basically, what we looked at was near me queries for about 10,000 search results across 100 cities. We like to do kind of big data, like so we can say, oh, it isn't just happening in Houston. This is happening everywhere. And then we used an actually client's tool that does statistical significance using AI at the time. It's kind of fancy to see what parts of the search results were significant across all these results. And here's what we found. The bluish, tealish color in the negative is actually a sign of significance. The lower the number, the more significant it is. Crazy way statistics work. And what you see, you don't have to read all these things, but basically the factors that seem to correlate with when near me, when a site would rank for near me is basically a bunch of geographic things in the title tags. So are you using the city? Are you using the state? Are you using the city and the state? Does it have the word near me? Really basic stuff. So what was great to see with this was that ranking for near me queries is almost as stupidly easy as it was in 2015. Animation's not working on this. But basically what you would have seen had this animation work is TripAdvisor's version of this page today, which is basically the same exact page as it was in 2015, just with a nicer color pattern. And this is the SEMrush rankings for that page. So we can clearly see, now this is just one site, but we can clearly see that not only is this tactic working, it's working better than ever for TripAdvisor. So how can you use this tactic? Well, it's really simple. You create a page called restaurants near me or plumbers near me or whatever. You put that in the heading of the page. Maybe you're using an H1 in the title tag of the page. If you have multiple locations, you're going to want a geo-targeted section of that page so that for wherever I am, it's going to show me the best restaurants. I'm in Pleasanton, so it's showing me Pleasanton. And then you want some internal links that say restaurants near me, as you can see these guys put in the footer. Really simple. You can play around with the language. Like, I think most people kind of think it's cringy to see near me in a title tag in the search results. So maybe near you is better. I don't think it really matters too much. But these pages, it won't like 10x your traffic, but it might raise it by 1 or 2% for what is a really simple update to your site. But the problem is we need to know about search intent when we do this. So as an example, not every search result is relevant for a near me, or let's just put it this way, Google doesn't necessarily want to show what we'll call a national near me page when they might want to show a local near me page. TripAdvisor, DoorDash, all these sites have national near me pages. Like if you go to DoorDash, they have like tacos near me and that kind of thing, but they also have tacos near Pleasanton. So you have to kind of figure out what Google's showing. And so you have to basically figure out how to capture search intent with different pages. And so here's kind of a very high level abstracted view of how a multi-location website should look for SEO. You've got pages that can capture national intent. That might be a service page, like we're an electrician's, or national content, like how do I unclog my toilet when it's stopped up, or a national near me page, like toilet uncloggers near me. And then you have the local intent pages, which traditionally might be different in different countries, but basically a state, city, location page, and then maybe a local service page and a local content page. If you have provinces, that might take the place of states or whatever you've got. All countries are kind of different and wacky. So before we go any further, for those of you who have store locators on your sites, you should have what we call a crawlable store locator system. So what we mean by that is you often see sites with multiple locations. When you get to the store locator page, you have a search only locator. It means like type your city or zip code, and then it shows you your location. The problem with that is Google can't type or in your city or zip code. So it needs to have a way to click on links to get to basically your location pages. And what we did a study of the top 50 US retailers in SEMrush of their store locator pages. And we found for, in general, those that had crawlable state city hierarchies tended to rank for twice as many keywords as those that only had a search only. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the TLDR is if the first thing you should do is you don't have a crawlable directory for your stores, create a crawlable directory. I'm not going to answer every question, but I see a couple. The difference between a city page and a location page, you might have 2 locations in a city. So McDonald's in Houston, there might be 10 McDonald's. So you have a Houston McDonald's page, and then a page that's linked from that page for every location in Houston. Have we tested this in multiple languages? We haven't done the near me stuff in any other languages other than the US, but I can tell you we've worked on like Yellow Pages type directories all over the world, and it works pretty much I know it works in Greek. We just did that in Greek. All right, so let's get back to talking about intent. So when you're starting to target, like do a plan for how are we going to rank for all these things that we want to rank for, you have to figure out, is there a local search we want to rank for, or a national search? It's kind of how we boil these things down. So as an example, last year we did a project for a big car site. Go to the site, find a car, that kind of thing. They wanted to rank for cars for sale queries in every city in the US. And we need to figure out, do they need to build a page for every location in the US for every year, make, and model? There are something like 16,000 year, make, and model combinations for most cars. And so that would be a huge number of pages for every city. So we decided to do a analysis to see how local the search results are for these different queries across 100 cities. The way to basically check for local intent without doing a huge analysis is you just do a bunch of searches. And if you see cities and or states showing up in the various search elements, or local packs, the Google Maps stuff showing up, that's a sign that it's local. that Google wants to show local results. But if you don't see any of these, or you see very few of them, that's a sign that the search results are national in intent, and you don't necessarily have to build, nor should you build, a location page for those, or a local page for those queries. And so you want to do this analysis either in an ad hoc way, like I'm showing in the slide, just do quick searches, or do it like, okay, let's look at a 10 million keywords and see what we see. And for a big multi-location national site, you want to look at the 10 million keywords just so you're really confident you've got the right data. So the way we do it is we draw an arbitrary line as to what percent of the search results are local. In this case, we said local means that there's a city present in the title of any of the results, in the top 10 results. And so we did 5 cities in this case for year, make, and model keywords. And all we found was that Honda, I don't know why Honda was the only make that had anything like that looked like significant in terms of the amount of local results. Every other make was basically mostly national, non-local results. You can see Volkswagen has fewer than 2% of the results were local. So this was a sign that, you know what, I don't think we need local pages for cars for sale for any of these cars. And if you look at the search results, you can see that's pretty much the case. Actually, before I go to this, if you just go to do a search right now, it might be different in whatever country you're in, but in the US, what we typically see are sites like CarMax, Car Gurus, Edmunds, these national sites, because we think that's what people want when they go to buy a car. They want to see a big selection. They want to see a lot of research, and only then do they go to a dealer. So it kind of makes sense. Another quick way to determine local intent is look at what sites are ranking for the keywords. You can see this is a home services analysis we did. You can see on the left, if you look at, let's say, plumbers or electricians or whatever, you can see things like Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon, House are ranking. Whereas when you look for, let's say, plumber near me, we start to see Yelp and Angie.com and Home Advisor. These are all sites that try to find you a local contractor. So, so this is a really quick way to decide intent is, oh, who's ranking? And you can see if it's national sites, it's probably national intent. There's also all sorts of different queries. In the case of home services, we were working for a company that wanted to rank for both dishwasher parts near me and fixed broken dishwasher near me kind of thing. And we said, okay, do we really need local pages for broken dishwasher? Is that a local search, or dishwasher parts? We weren't sure. So we again did the study. We looked at a bunch of keywords and a bunch of markets. And what we found was that any keyword with repair had local intent, very high local intent. But any keyword with broken or parts seemed very national. There were just not local stuff. And so for your repair pages, you required local pages. So repair person in Houston. For a broken dishwasher, it really just required a single piece of content. So how to fix your broken dishwasher. And that can rank anywhere. We also looked at it. I'm sorry, this one it contained a map pack. And this one it contained city in the title. And so the results were pretty much the same. We just tried to be thorough. What was interesting is we put broken in front of not every, but a ton of different appliances. And what we found was only broken garage door had significant number of local results. And we were trying to figure out why that was. And the best we could come up with is when your garage door breaks, you pretty much aren't going to try to fix that yourself. Kind of dangerous actually to do so. Everything else you might kind of try to fix it yourself, or at least take a shot at it before you call a repair person. So anyhow, again, you can't just make total blanket generalities. Oh, we did this research, and so anything broken, not going to need local. You really have to look for each keyword and figure out if it's appropriate. Because in this case, we told them, hey, you guys need local pages for your broken garage door stuff. Let's just go beyond that. I think we've exhausted this up. This is another interesting way to look at it. This is a lawyer site. They're national, or at least they're in like, I think about 25 cities, 28 cities, something like that. They had a page in every city for every one of their practices. So they had 19 top level practices, like data breach and ethics investigation, and 35 sub practices. So that's, what is that, 54? So if they had 20 locations, that would be over 1,000 pages. And we kind of looked at it and said, you know, we think some of these queries are not very local. So we did this analysis and we found out here are some queries that are not local. So data breach is not a local. Data breach attorney is not a local query. Equal opportunity employment appeals attorney is not a local query. And so we said, can you get rid of these 300 or so pages, redirect them to either a relevant national practice area page or a location page? And we think you'll do a lot better. And as with all these things, you know, half of SEO is just like, well, we've done this before, it might work. We're not sure if it's going to work, but it seems worth trying. And hopefully you say that with confidence. But we don't know if it's going to work. So what happened? Well, they did it last year, and here's their SEM Rush data. This thing worked like 1 billion times better than even I thought it would work. And it's a common tactic to, not common, but it's a common recommended tactic to prune your site dramatically to get rid of low value pages. In this case, I'm not going to say it works every time, but in this case, it worked amazingly well. And these are for very high value queries, like local attorney queries for employment law. So this client was pretty happy. We were pretty psyched, like, wow, this SEO stuff actually works sometimes. Let's talk about your location pages. A lot of businesses, especially multi-location businesses, create 1 billion different location pages because they, for whatever reason, like they think they can rank for it or they need it. I thought this was an interesting example. Home Depot has a location page for every one of the locations, and most of any location that has truck rentals has a truck rental page as a sub page. And if you look at the SEM Rush data, and we believe it, on the left, well, it looks like those pages get a lot of traffic, about 50,000 visits a month. But if you remove anything that looks like a brand query, meaning anything containing the word home or depot, suddenly they only get about 8,000 clicks a month. So whenever you're thinking about creating these sub pages on a location page, you've got to remember the number one thing you're going to probably do is hijack brand queries from other pages. And so 8,000 clicks a month might be actually great for truck rentals. Who knows? And they should have one anyhow, because it's a service and I need to find the truck rentals and see all the information. So it deserves another page, but it may not be an amazing SEO tactic. It's not like you're going to get a huge amount of net new traffic. You may, but you have to kind of do the math to try to figure out, is there enough unique traffic for this page to make it worth doing? Here's another example of the same thing. We were working with a retailer in about 800 cities. Another vendor that shall be remain nameless suggested and sold them an incredibly expensive deployment of, I think, like 13 or 15 department pages for every location. And they were pretty psyched. It got 4 million clicks over this time period. That's pretty awesome. But when we took out the brand queries, it only got about 67,000 clicks over it. All it did was steal traffic from the other location pages. So just beware. This is probably more common than not, particularly if you have a strong brand. Let's also talk about creating just pages for all sorts of different reasons. We have a retailer client, about 1,000 locations. They created a page for every city in the country because they saw the competition doing it, even though they don't have locations in every city in the country. But they'd have like, they put a list of their nearby locations for that city. So they had about 130,000 pages that they didn't have a location in. And we did the analysis. It got less than 1% of their total organic traffic. And that's before subtracting brand traffic. So it probably got next to zero traffic. Our thesis on this, we can't prove it, is you don't have any locations there. Like in your retailer, Google somehow will figure that out, probably from usage, because people bounce in and out of this thing, and be like, why should we show you? We'd rather show someone who has a location. They did the same thing with brands. So they carried mattresses, and they were like, okay, we have Serta mattresses near Beaver, Oregon, Purple mattresses near Beaverton, Oregon. So if they had like 10 brands, they now have like over 500,000 pages. Again, virtually no traffic. So we told them to get rid of that stuff, and now their traffic's kind of recovering. This stuff actually worked probably for them 10 years ago, which is when the site was probably last built. What are some other cool things we can do with location pages? So there's all the standard stuff you should have on your location page: your name, address, and phone number, nearby locations, link to them. You should mark it up with local business schema. You might want to feature your products and services there. It's always a good thing. You might even want to have some text. You'll probably put some lame SEO text in there, but might as well have it. Some non-standard stuff. This is what we've figured out over time, looking at a lot of different sites, testing a lot of different things. The number one thing we found that made a difference, particularly for retailer sites, is category links. We looked at about 10 million search results. This is about 3 years ago, for 40 e-commerce categories in about 5,000 markets. And we found that the winners tended to have links to their categories. As an example, at the time, Target was one of the top ranking retailers in these markets for video game stores. And they were the only one of the competitors we looked at that had a link to video games on their location pages. Other things you should be adding to your location pages to be super awesome: market-specific content. Reviews are great. Having the reviews for that store or service always updating on that page is great. Neighborhood info, if that's relevant. We serve these areas, that kind of thing. Topically relevant images, strangely, we found to correlate pretty well with rankings. We were working with a truck driving school, and we noticed every other one of their competitors is outranking them, had a picture of a truck on their landing page. We're like, put a picture of a truck. And we did that, and it seemed to work. And if you have sub pages for services or other products, departments, link to those pages. You'd be surprised how many people create sub pages and orphan them because someone's not talking to someone else, or they updated the page and forgot about it. We also use something we call share of the voice to determine areas of opportunity. And this is just a fancy way of saying we'll look at the rankings in local packs across all these markets and keywords in different categories, and we'll basically create a score. So in this case, it was furniture, national furniture local packs. We basically said, okay, if you rank number one, this is how many points you get. Number two, this is how many points you get. And what you can see is these top two stores basically have the massive amount, like a big gap between them and the rest in terms of share of the voice across all these markets. And so what this told us was our client actually had a big opportunity here because most of the players are relatively weak. So this is a really like a mathematical way to go, okay, let's go after furniture and maybe not video games, because video games is super crowded. I just wanted to spend 2 seconds talking about Google Merchant Center because I think it's the most ignored SEO tool out there because people don't even know how it works. If you sell products, you should have a Google Merchant Center account, or if your company does, ask for access to it. It has some really interesting data. In this case, this is a visibility trend comparison. It shows how you're doing versus your top competitors across a specific category. In this case, the client is the blue line. This is gloves and mittens. They're not doing very well, but it shows all the sites that are outranking you for gloves and mittens, what percentage they are, what products are outranking you. And you can use that data to formulate a strategy. Why do we think this site is outranking us? This is an example. It shows like competitors, their page overlap rate. How many pages do you guys rank in common with? How often are they above you or below you? And it's just a really bunch of interesting data. Another one that's in there, you have to really work hard to find it, is the click-through rate of products from your Google business profile. So products that are attached to your Google business profile, you can set up a custom report and say, which has the highest click-through rate? And based on that, you should be taking those products and put them smack dab on your location landing pages. Because if that's what people are searching for and clicking on, well, why not put it right on the location page so they can buy it, right? So It's one of these things. There's no simple way to do it. There's no like automated way to like get an API and update stuff. You just have to kind of put the data together and convince someone that this crazy idea is worth it. All right, we're gonna go through that. A couple other things. We often get engaged by clients on really weird one-off projects like, hey, we have a site for all of our local dealers, and then we have a national site, and we think that we should get rid of our local dealer sites and put them all on a national site because it's easier. And so in the case of this client, we did the research to show that for national keywords, the national brand site tended to always outrank the local franchisee sites. And for local keywords, the same thing. And so this gave us enough confidence to say, we think if you combine the local franchisee sites into the national sites, you're probably not going to lose traffic. In fact, you'll probably do better because the national site already outperforms the local sites. And this is the kind of data you need to go to a pack of angry franchisees and go, hey, we're changing things. And so they were able to change things, and in this case, it actually worked really well. Their traffic went up significantly over the next year. Let's talk a little bit about Google Business Profiles. I know everyone's like got a billion Google Business Profile questions. My philosophy on Google Business Profiles is get them right up front. They're relatively simple, but there are complicated things about them. So I'm not going to go into everything about Google Business Profiles, but you want to first and foremost be located in the right place and get your primary category right. You want to link your Google Business Profile to the most relevant page. I have done tests where my business was outranked by another company. I changed the link to that company's homepage, and we instantly outranked that company. Or I changed it to a city page from a homepage, and we improved our ranking. So make sure you're linked to the most relevant page, and make sure that page that you're linking to has really relevant content on it. Moving. We hear, especially with service area businesses, the number one recommendation for any of you is always going to be you're in the wrong physical location. That's why you don't rank so well. So if you can afford to create new locations, legitimate locations, you may want to consider it. The reason why I said move or maybe don't move is because we were working with a very unfortunate business a couple months ago who ranked number one for the city next to them for their query. And they had so much business that they opened up a new location and they moved 2 blocks away from that city. And they instantly lost their rankings because for whatever reason, they were out of the radius that Google wanted. And there's really no fix for that other than move back or add a new location in that city, or somehow do enough marketing in that city that enough people search for you and click on you in local packs. Speaking of clicks, video, you might have seen over the last year or two, has been very common now in Google Business Profiles. Everyone should have a really good video that is on their profile because we think it's often the difference between getting clicked and not clicked. Some random problems that we tend to run into, we like weird problems. It might be the local filter. There's this obscure rule that says if you're close to a similar business within, I think, about 200 feet of it, you might get filtered out of the local results. So if you're not showing up, look at that first. You might have an old location, either it's your business or you acquired the business or it's some other business that's in the same exact location as yours that could be haunting you. You want to make sure those are dealt with. If you're working out of a co-working space, you better read the guidelines about what Google requires to be in a co-working space. And even if you pass those guidelines, your co-working space still might be toxic. Speaking of toxic, if someone who has access to your dashboard is a known spammer by Google, your whole group of locations may be penalized. We saw a client get thousands of locations suspended because an ex-employee was still in their dashboard. The minute they took it out, the listings got re-verified. Joy Hawkins of Sterling Sky last year discovered that Google had updated the algorithm for local packs so that if you're not open, you might not show up at that time. So a lot of people now say they're open 24 hours, even though they're lying, but it seemed to improve rankings. We also see, especially in spammy fields like garage doors and lawyers, your competitors might be editing your GBPs, changing your names, trying to get you either to lose the keywords in your names or trying to get you banned. It's important that you monitor, if you're in one of these categories, monitor these changes regularly. We built a tool using the Google Business API that updates us in Slack anytime any of our locations are changed. This is my favorite one. We have several clients that have had problems, especially when they're dealing with municipalities, like a waste management company, that their business is in the wrong location or won't show up on the map. And oftentimes it's because that road does not exist in Google Maps yet. And so you should get used to going into Google Maps and adding roads, changing positions. Just go into the editing, edit this location section of Google Maps. And in the case of this client where the road didn't exist, it took 2 months for Google to actually create the road and for them to show up in the right place. So you need to be a little patient. Like I said, you should be monitoring your changes to your Google business profiles on a regular basis. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about is just AI, because everyone wants to talk about AI. It's all anyone wants to talk about. Can you use AI for location pages and content in general? Yes, you can. You need to be careful how you do it and smart about how you do it. We've seen plenty of AI projects gone bad, but we've also seen plenty of good ones. So we started building our own tool to do AI for location pages because we're like, oh, this should be easy. It's a template. Location pages don't need to be Shakespeare. They need to just like, we're open and this is what we do. So here's how we do it at a high level. We train the AI, just think like ChatGPT or something, on well-ranked pages for whatever we're trying to rank for. We basically don't try to write the whole page. We try to write sentences or paragraphs. If you've tried prompting an AI to write stuff, you'll do much better with very finite small prompts. So don't try to, if you're going to write 4 paragraphs, do that in 4 prompts at least. Don't try to do it all at once. You want to provide factual data from the business, whatever you have, like we're located near XYZ, we do ABC. You also, I haven't put it in here, but you also ideally would want to scrape the people also ask and related search results, things like that from Google, the search results that you're trying to target, and have those weighted into the AI training. And then you need to basically do a lot of fact checking, grammar checking, and ultimately need to use human beings to edit it. So all of our AI content gets edited by human beings. Whenever we've tried to do it without human beings, the results have been really meh. Sometimes clients are like, oh, just create 1,000 pages for us and put it up and see what happens. And we're like, nah, nothing's going to happen really. And just to give you an idea, these things can work and still can work. This is a real data, or at least SEM Ahrefs data from a client of ours. It's a national home services company. And what you can see is when we launched these AI location pages, they started growing over time, and they came down a little over the last month or two, but they're still well above where they were. And this cost a fraction of what it would have cost to have a human being write it. I think this was like something like $20 a page or something ridiculous like that. And it took maybe 2 weeks to do it. Anyhow. Okay, we went through a lot of stuff. If any of you find this stuff intriguing, you can always get on my calendar. I'm always happy to talk to you about this stuff. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I like talking about this stuff. It's more fun than working. Like I said, if you're interested in the SERP summary thing, just go to this page on our new site, lsgseo.com, SERP summary, and you can sign up to be notified when it's live. Hopefully we'll get it live in the next 3 weeks, but we're having some ooh, that's complicated stuff going on. Anyway.
One, I'm so glad that's recorded so I can watch this many times, because there was a lot of information in there and there was a lot of value. It was a brilliant deep dive into on page. So thank you, because I'll be rewatching that and definitely making some notes. We have, well, we've got a gazillion questions.
Cool.
We've got time for, let's maybe just do 3 or so, which are around your actual presentation, before we get on to more general ones. So let's see what we have. Okay. So we have, can you duplicate pages and change keywords to make this scalable, or does Google see these as gateway or doorway pages?
So this is part of technical question and a philosophical question. Let's start with the philosophical first because it's more fun. So in my opinion, so many pages for local search are gateway or doorway pages. Like, there's just no way around it. Like, oh, it's a list of plumbers, or I do these things in this. It's just the way it is. So here's how we go. We've done enough of these types of pages where we say, okay, if you just do the same content and insert city name here or service name here, the performance isn't nearly as good as if you do unique content for each one. And thanks to AI, it's actually really simple to do that, or much more straightforward than having to have someone manually think of it. That said, I want to say last year, I actually saw the first ever doorway page manual action for a site. Someone in one of the Slack communities we were in, Claire, was passing this around, like, can you help us? And I looked at the pages and they all looked unique, like handwritten kind of. And I was at a loss as to why Google would penalize these. So I think you've just got to go into this like anything. Like if you do link building, you're already like in the market, right? So if you're the kind of person who does link building, well, then you should roll these out with confidence. Don't roll out a billion pages at once. Just do it as carefully as you can. But if you have all your cash under the mattress, like maybe you don't want to do this, right? You're very conservative. But SEO is about taking risks. It's not, in my opinion, you got to, no risk, no reward.
And measuring stuff, isn't it? What works?
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. What have we got?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll find out now, Andrew. Do you normally use near me or near you? Because you did mention there, it sort of sounds more natural, but then you're not actually using it on the page. So
we use both.
Okay.
So, and it's ultimately up to the client. We just say, hey, like if you wanted to sound a little better in the search results, call near you as the title.
Yeah. But
then put near me somewhere on the site. I can't say I've really measured the effectiveness of using the different combinations.
Yeah.
But it's so usually this is the easiest thing to update on your site.
Yeah.
So it's like, just try it, see what happens.
Yeah. And maybe it's actually only SEOs that find near me a bit icky. Maybe like real people and our potential customers are not going to go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're using that on their page. Okay, let's see.
True.
What else have we got? Okay, so when you say category links from the pages, I think this person is talking about location pages. Do you mean to create a category page or the location, or to link to the main category page?
In the specific research we did that I showed was for an e-commerce site. So they had their store pages. So let's just say Target in Houston linking to their video games category. So it wasn't a local video games category, just like a national video games for sale category. In the case of a service provider, let's just say plumber, and you do actually dentist. Let's do dentist, and you also offer teeth whitening. This is where you have to go look at the search results. And so let's say dentist in Houston. If I search for teeth whitening in Houston, am I getting a teeth whitening national pages? Ooh, look at that, thumbs up. Or am I getting teeth whitening in Houston page, or teeth whitening in a neighborhood in Houston page? And that's going to be your clue as to which page to create and which one to link to.
Perfect.
There's no one size fits all.
No. So go and have a look at the SERP, see what Google thinks the intent is. And what's ranking.
The easiest thing to do is just create a national one service page and link to that from every location page. Start with that because it's easy. Yeah. And then test the other ones.
Fantastic, brilliant. Okay, I have got one question for you, just from me, because I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I posed this to a couple of people, and they've all got different answers. So in the Brand Beacon report, so BrightLocal found that the high-performing multi-location brands tend to, unsurprisingly, be those with dedicated local SEO strategies and teams that understand local SEO. But why do you think that some multi-location brands are sort of lagging behind on their understanding and adoption of the importance of local SEO?
Oh, that's easy. It's the easiest question of the day, Claire.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to tell you a little story. So before all this internet stuff, I worked at NBC, the television network in the States. And I worked in their startup internet group. I guess they're not before the internet stuff, but in the early days. And I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone in Hollywood. I was in New York. I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone and no one wanted to talk to us because they're internet-y things. And so I said, hey, you know what? No one's doing anything with this TV stations, the local stations. Let's do that. And my boss said, you don't want to do that. No one wants to talk to the locations. No one wants. And every time we're dealing with a multi-location company, it's the same thing. The locations are the lowest priority when it comes to corporate strategy and stuff like that. Oh, they're doing their thing. Give them the bare minimum, but don't worry about it. Especially if you're an e-commerce company, you're like, no, we want to sell stuff on our site. We don't care about them. We care about the locations, but my bonus is how many shock absorbers we sold off the site. So often the locations are the lowest priority on all this stuff. And I can tell you, every time we've ever worked with any of these companies, it's the same thing, always, always, always.
Okay, you heard it here first. Thank you. What we're going to do is let us start with the Q&A, because there are many and everyone wants to deep dive into Andrew's brain. Oh, I love this one. Do you have a URL of an example of a well-built location page that looks professional, has relevant content, and ranks very well? It's always nice to put together a little checklist of location pages that people think are really great. It's normally Home Depot.
Yeah, that's the one I always use. I haven't looked at it lately, but it does what it needs to do. Another one that's kind of interesting is U-Hauls. U-Haul for years has gone after, we are going to make a location page for every service we have. And I think they actually do pretty well, most of them. So, but the Home Depot one's perfectly good. REI.com.
I was going to say REI.
We all have the same examples. It's
like... Crystal Tang always gives one. I think it's a pet. Oh my goodness me! I wish I could remember. Pets, not Pet Smart or something. It's okay. I'll try and think. Anyway, it is a really, really good one.
Yeah, I think the way I might do it is, yeah, I'm sorry, Kurt, if you can't. Maybe I guess you're out of the country or something, and they don't like you. But a good way to do it is go into one of the tools like BrightLocal or SEMrush or whatever, and be like, okay, here's a keyword, and what's a national brand that ranks for it with their store page, and just look at that, and it's probably good enough. And again, in the deck, it has some URLs and examples, and hopefully that gives you enough just to go, okay, this is what it should have. But use the kitchen sink approach. Should have a lot of stuff to be like awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Look in your niche, isn't it? So let's have the next question. At what point do you determine that your site is bloated or suffering from bloat, and that you're going to need to remove and redirect pages? So
you can be kind of reactive or proactive to this. Usually it's reactive. Something's wrong. let's fix it. If as an example, last year, we were working on a bunch of sites that all got kind of really destroyed by Google's updates. And the common theme was a lot of local content across a lot of markets that's very thin. Like we're working on a local event site that just had like data from the same data everyone had and nothing original and that kind of thing. So those are the cases where if traffic's, and you see the same thing with like just normal content, like, hey, we're a publisher and we publish everything about whatever, how to do webinars. If you see the traffic's declining across the site, that's a sign that, you know, there might be something wrong with the site and with the content. And then you look at all the pages that, let's say over the, you know, you can create your own metrics, but usually we'll say, okay, has this page got any traffic in the last 6 months from Google? No? Okay, then it's past that first filter. Has Googlebot crawled this page in the last 6 months? No? Okay. Does this page have any links from anything, any other site? No? Probably. Oh, is this page compete with any other pages on our site? No. Yes, probably good candidate to get rid of it. So that's kind of how we approach it. And in general, especially if you're publishing editorial content, you should be doing a regular assessment of the performance of these pages. In the perfect world, you'd be updating your editorial content on a somewhat regular basis. No one really does that, except sites that are super aggressive, like probably like Forbes.com, where they exist just for SEO. And so my guess is they update their pages like every 3 months or something stupid like that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Matthew asks, in terms of backlinks and citations with the individual location pages, is it better to get links to those or to the entire website, or does it just depend?
Well, everything just depends, but I'd say in general, like, you want to get links to your location pages. It's so easy. I hate when SEOs say this. Relevant links, get relevant links, whatever that means. But you want Google to see the search engine to see those pages are kind of important and relevant to whatever the city. That said, like getting like 1,000 links to a location page seems kind of odd, unless like you're having some event, let's say, maybe that makes sense. But that's generally how we would approach it. And if you're a somewhat well-known brand, either nationally or locally, like we'd hope that the majority of your links are going to your homepage.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Thank you. When you test something, how long do you usually let the test run to determine the results?
In the perfect world, you'd want Googlebot to crawl the pages that you're testing at least like 2 or 3 times. But in our experience, most sites aren't monitoring at that granularity. And to get the engineers to do it, no one wants to ask them to do that. And most people aren't using a tool like OnCrawl or something like that. So I'd say a rule of thumb is let the thing sit there for a month. If nothing's happening after a month, something's up, right? But a lot of things can, updating a title tag, hopefully that's like 24 hours and boom, you should be able to see what's going on.
Perfect.
It's one of these things where it's this is where SEO is just so goofy. Like, you could give me any, like, oh, I want to test this or this, and I'm probably going to have roughly the same answer for everyone, but I'll have some nuance depending on what it is. I say, well, we did this last year and it seemed like it took Google 6 months to figure that out. So maybe 6 months.
Yeah, well, that's how we base our lives on our previous experience. That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what
I'd like to say SEO is like being a doctor. We know take aspirin and it lowers your fever or something like that, or drink orange juice and vitamin C is good for you. But, oh, you have a tumor I've never seen before. Maybe try this. Like, it worked on the other tumor. That's what SEO is, right?
There's all of these new illnesses in the SEO world.
Yeah, the TV show House, I think, is very therapeutic for SEOs because that's exactly their methodology.
Okay, that's a good show. That's a very good show. What have we got next? What do you think about adding keywords as services and products in GBP?
Couldn't hurt. I wouldn't get too overly spammy with those things. But yeah, if you do teeth whitening and you're a dentist, why not add that? Like it might on the margins help you rank better for those things. I don't know, Claire, have you seen like, oh, I added 20 services and suddenly I was ranking for everything kind of thing?
Okay. I'm wondering here whether this person is talking about sort of stuffing the business name with those keywords,
Oh, okay.
like services, products, or whether they're talking about, shall I be using the services and products section? So I would say, yeah, go ahead and use the services and products section as is relevant and is achievable, because obviously there's quite a lot of like manual stuff there, because products and blah, 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 blah. But probably I wouldn't insert stuff into my business name, just because it's a nightmare to try and deal with when you get suspended.
So this again, so it's funny, like, so we associate with a lot of what we'll call goody two shoes. I don't know if that's an expression all over the world. Claire's a goody two shoes.
Yeah.
And we like to be very cognizant of what Google's rules are, even their unwritten rules, as best we can tell. But we don't view it as our job to necessarily follow those rules. We view it as our job to inform the client. Yeah, if you can get keywords in your Google business profile name, you probably will rank a lot better and make a lot more money. But to Claire's point, you're now at a higher risk of getting suspended. So what do you want to do?
You need to be balanced. And I think you're adding there in the chat. And then if you're talking about having like a business name, a real business name, which is basically exact match to the keywords that you want to rank for, then I feel like that, you know, the time for that maybe has gone. And I think you need to think about your brand, a brand plus your primary service or product. But I do think that you need to piggyback with a brand as well.
The problem that we have as SEOs is it's so easy for us to say, be great, be an awesome brand. Like, just please your customers. Sure, you should do that. But 99% of our clients are like, I just want to rank number one. But that's great. Yeah, we'll be great. Sure.
Okay.
How do I rank number one?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like this. As SEOs and marketers, Andrew, I think, you know, we've got so many different hats on, surely.
Yeah. Let's see, favorite AI scripts or templates. You know what? I did a presentation at PubCon. This is my presentation month this week.
Wow.
On AI stuff. And if you give me 2 seconds, I don't have the scripts or templates, but I have, here's all the tools we used to build our AI tool. And if you're interested in building your own, we have an amazing machine learning engineer named Jess Peck. We are offering to anybody who wants it, sessions with Jess. If you're like, oh, I just want to pick someone's brain about how to do this stuff, it's $250 an hour. So she's awesome. She'll give away the store. Yeah, exactly, Jenny. Jess is awesome. And so just ping me and I can set it up.
Oh my gosh, what an opportunity. Jump on that.
Yeah.
Have we got, I'm just thinking, have we got one more question? Or I'm sure I just saw one popped up, but maybe not. Andrew, is that presentation that you mentioned, is that shareable with us? Can we?
I will make it shareable right now. I'm going to have it share anyone with the link. Hold on. Let's see if we can do it. Copy link, share. Anyone with link. This is my secret. You're getting the secret PubCon link.
Wow.
Here is now in the chat.
You dropped that in
Go
there.
for it.
That is awesome. Thank you very, 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 very much, Andrew, for bringing the fire to today's webinar. If anyone, and I don't know why they wouldn't, want to follow you, not in a creepy way, anywhere, where can they find you? Where are you? Like online?
You could, LinkedIn is kind of my usual place now where I'm spouting off about ridiculous SEO things.
Okay, brilliant.
So just Andrew Shotland at LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter at Local SEO Guide. Threads. I think I'm called Andrewski on Threads.
Okay. All right.
Or you can email me. Here's my email address. Feel free to spam me.
And I'm reading that out. It's Andrew at localseoguide.com.
Yeah.
So all that remains to be said is obviously a huge thank you to you, Andrew. Thank you for everyone that has been here today. And I just need to say that if you want to check out some of the, Andrew was talking about location pages. We've got an excellent guide to location pages in the BrightLocal Academy, where there are free courses in business listings, competitor analysis, service page, location page optimization, and much, much more. And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news and find out when the next BrightLocal webinar is, then make sure that you sign up for the newsletter. So thank you and goodbye.
Thanks.
Goodbye, Andrew. Thank you.